Have you ever stopped to think about the habits you've carried for years? The ones that quietly drain your energy or steal your spark? After 70, we're flooded with advice about what to start doing. Eat better, keep moving, stick to the doctor's orders, but what about the things we need to stop? The old routines, grudges, or beliefs that weigh us down like a heavy coat we don't even realize we're wearing? Today, we're diving into 6 things you should let go of after 70, not because you've messed up, but because you've earned the right to live lighter, freer, and truer to who you are. These aren't just random tips. They're life-changing insights pulled from real stories, deep psychology, and the wisdom of folks who've been where you are. One of these might just hit you right in the heart, maybe even shift how you see your tomorrow. Curious? Stick with me, and let's uncover them together. Here we go. 1. Trying to be everyone's anchor. You know that feeling when you're always the one holding everything together? The family planner, the peacemaker, the one everyone turns to when life gets messy? Meet 74-year-old Ellen, a retired school teacher from Minneapolis. For decades, she hosted every family reunion, even as her chronic fatigue made it harder to keep up. She'd spend weeks organizing, cooking for 30 people, and cleaning up afterward, all while hiding how exhausted she was. "If I don't do it, who will?" she'd say, convinced her role was the glue keeping her family together. Sound familiar? Being everyone's anchor is a habit many of us pick up early. Maybe you were the one who always said yes to keep the peace or avoid letting anyone down. By 70, it's so second nature you barely notice it. But here's the hard truth. It's stealing your time, your energy, and sometimes even your sense of who you are. Why do we do this? Psychologists say it's often tied to a deep need for validation, rooted in fear of rejection or being seen as less than. Research in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows chronic people pleasing can lead to burnout, resentment, and even lower self-esteem over time. After 70, your energy is like gold, every bit counts. Spending it on obligations that don't light you up isn't noble. It's a sacrifice you don't need to make anymore. Ellen's wake-up call came when she collapsed from exhaustion one Thanksgiving. She was terrified to admit she couldn't keep hosting, worried her family would drift apart. But when she finally spoke up, her son offered to take over, and her grandkids chipped in with desserts and decorations. The reunions didn't stop, they got better, with everyone pitching in. Ellen rediscovered her love for gardening, spending sunny afternoons tending her roses instead of stressing over menus. Letting go of being everyone's anchor doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you start caring about you too. It's about setting boundaries, saying no when your heart's not in it, and trusting that the people who love you will stick around. This shift is like clearing out a cluttered attic, making space for what truly matters: your joy, your peace, your passions. Studies show that setting boundaries reduces stress and boosts self-respect, letting you show up as your truest self. Next time you feel that familiar tug to say yes out of habit, pause. Ask yourself, is this what I want, or what I feel I should do? If it feels heavy, that's your sign to let it go. Try this. This week, say no to one thing that drains you, maybe a social event that feels like a chore or a task you can delegate. Notice how it feels to reclaim that energy. You've spent a lifetime being strong for others now. It's time to be strong for you. What's one obligation you can release to make room for yourself? Think about it, maybe jot it down, and take that first step. You've earned it, and it's going to feel so good. Quick check-in. If this one's hitting home, drop point 1 in the comments to let me know you're with me. Your thoughts keep this community alive. 2. Ignoring your body's messages. Ever brush off a nagging ache, a moment of dizziness, or a strange tightness in your chest, thinking, oh, it's just part of getting older? We've all done it, pushing aside our body's signals like they're no big deal. But after 70, those signals aren't just background noise, they're your body's way of waving a red flag. Take 77-year-old Walter, a retired mechanic from Vancouver. For months, he ignored a persistent cough and shortness of breath, blaming it on spring allergies or being out of shape. He'd avoid climbing stairs and tell himself it'd pass. One day, while walking his dog, he felt so winded he had to sit on a bench. His daughter noticed his pale face and insisted on a doctor's visit. Tests revealed an early-stage lung condition, treatable with medication and lifestyle changes. Within months, Walter was back to his daily walks, even taking his dog on longer routes. If he'd waited, the outcome could have been far worse. We're often taught to tough it out, to avoid making a fuss or seeming weak. Maybe you grew up in an era where complaining wasn't an option, or you worry a diagnosis might mean losing control or independence. But here's the reality. Your body doesn't whisper for no reason. Research from the National Institute on Aging shows that early intervention for symptoms like pain, fatigue, or breathing issues can prevent small problems from becoming life-altering. Ignoring signals increases risk heart disease, diabetes complications, or falls can escalate fast if unchecked. Walter's wake-up call taught him to listen. Now, he keeps a small journal to track symptoms and checks in with his doctor regularly, not out of fear but out of respect for his body's wisdom. He even started a walking group with neighbors, turning his health scare into a chance to connect. This habit of dismissal often comes from fear of bad news, hospitals, or losing your freedom. But ignoring symptoms doesn't protect you, it puts your independence at risk. Listening to your body is like tuning into a trusted friend who's been with you through everything. Raising kids, building a career, surviving tough times. It's not about obsessing over every twinge. It's about paying attention. If you've been brushing off a symptom, maybe a lingering cough, a stiff joint, or unusual fatigue, take it seriously. Make that appointment. Jot down what you're feeling to share with your doctor. Try this. This week, pick one signal your body's been sending and act on it, whether it's a checkup or a chat with a loved one about what you've noticed. It's not weakness, it's strength. You've earned the right to treat your health like it matters. What's one signal you've noticed lately? Act on it. Your body's been your partner for decades, and it deserves your care now. Hey, if this resonates, leave point 2 in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that button and ring the bell to keep these insights coming. 3. Holding on to past hurts. Ever find yourself replaying an old hurt? Like a movie you can't stop watching? Maybe it's a falling out with a sibling, a friend's betrayal, or a family argument that still stings years later. For 80-year-old Clara, a former baker from Liverpool, it was a 25-year rift with her brother over a misunderstanding about their parents' estate. They stopped speaking, and Clara carried the pain like a heavy stone in her pocket, feeling it every time she saw an old family photo or heard his name. That hurt didn't just live in her heart, it clouded her joy, kept her up at night, and even strained her relationships with others who didn't understand her quiet sadness. Holding on to past hurts feels like it's holding the other person accountable, but psychology says it's the opposite. Grudges punish you. They live in your body as stress, raising cortisol levels and impacting everything from your blood pressure to your mental clarity, according to research in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine. They also steal your peace, replaying old wounds in your mind like a broken record. Clara's turning point came after a health scare, a mild heart attack that made her rethink what mattered most. She wrote her brother a letter, not expecting a reply but needing to release the weight. To her surprise, he called. They met at a quiet cafe, shared awkward silences, then stories, and finally tears. They laughed about old times, cried over lost years, and started rebuilding. They couldn't undo the past, but they found peace in the present, and Clara felt like she'd shed a heavy coat she didn't know she was wearing. Forgiving doesn't mean excusing the hurt or pretending it didn't happen. It's about choosing to free yourself from its grip, like setting down a load you've carried too long. Sometimes, the person who hurt you won't apologize, or they're no longer here. Waiting for their closure traps you in their story. Instead, choose your own freedom. Studies show that releasing resentment can lower stress, improve sleep, and even boost your immune system. It's not about them, it's about you. Ask yourself, who am I still carrying? If a name pops up, that's your sign. Maybe it's a call, a letter, or just a quiet moment where you decide to let go. Try this. This month, take one step toward letting go of an old hurt. Write it down, talk to a friend, or simply decide to release it. Clara's letter opened a door she thought was locked forever. What's one wound you're ready to heal? You deserve that lightness. And peace at this stage isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. If this one's speaking to you, drop point 3 in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going. 4. Thinking you're done learning. Ever caught yourself saying, I'm too old to learn that? It's a sneaky belief that creeps in. whispering that your best learning days are behind you. But your brain begs to differ. Science shows it can keep forming new connections called neuroplasticity well into your 80s and beyond, according to research from the National Institutes of Health. Meet 78-year-old Henry, a former electrician from Chicago. He'd never touched a smartphone, thinking tech was for the kids. But when his granddaughter offered to teach him, he gave it a shot, despite feeling clumsy at first. Within months, he was texting, browsing history forums, and even joining a virtual book club. His eyes sparkled when he talked about it, not because he was a tech genius, but because he rediscovered the thrill of growth, like a kid exploring a new playground. Learning something new isn't just about skills. It's about reminding yourself you're still vibrant, still curious, still part of this fast-moving world. The discomfort of trying, like fumbling with a new app or picking up a hobby, can feel like failure, but it's proof your brain's stretching. Research in the Journal of Cognitive Neuroscience shows that learning boosts cognitive function, mood, and even independence, keeping you sharp and engaged. For Henry, it wasn't just about the smartphone. It was about connecting with his grandkids, who loved teaching him. They'd laugh together over his typos, and those moments became treasures. That spark rekindled his confidence and sense of purpose, making him feel relevant in a world that sometimes seems built for the young. This belief often comes from fear of looking foolish, failing, or needing help. But every time you learn, you're saying, "I'm still here, and I've got more to give." It's like tending a garden. Each new skill is a seed that blooms into joy, purpose, and connection. So, what's one thing you've been curious about but avoided? Maybe it's a language, a craft, or figuring out that tablet. Give yourself permission to be a beginner again. Start small. Try one new thing this week, like a recipe, a YouTube tutorial, or a class at the community center. Henry started with one text and ended up rediscovering his love for history. What's one skill you'd love to explore? Go for it. You're never too old to grow, and the world still needs your spark. Try this. Pick one thing you've been curious about and take a tiny step toward it this week. Maybe it's watching a tutorial or asking a friend for help. You'll be amazed at how alive it makes you feel. Feeling inspired? Leave point 4 in the comments. And hit subscribe to keep these insights coming. 5. Saving joy for later. How often do you put off the good stuff, waiting for the perfect moment? The fancy dishes, that dream trip, or even a quiet evening with your favorite music? For 79-year-old Ruth, a former seamstress from Halifax, it was a set of hand-painted china plates she'd saved for special occasions. They sat in a box for 25 years, untouched, gathering dust. One day, her son asked, "Mom, why don't we use them?" That evening, they set the table with those plates for a simple spaghetti dinner, and it felt like a celebration for no reason at all. Ruth said it was like rediscovering a piece of myself I'd forgotten. We're taught to save, to sacrifice, to wait, maybe from growing up in lean times or learning to put others first. But after 70, waiting becomes a habit that steals joy. Psychologists call this delayed gratification syndrome, where we postpone happiness for a future that might never come. Research in the Journal of Positive Psychology shows that savoring small moments like a good meal, a walk in the park, or a favorite song boosts mental health, reduces stress, and even supports longevity. Ruth started using her plates regularly, and each meal felt like a small gift to herself, reminding her life was worth celebrating now. You don't need permission to enjoy life's pleasures. Wear that favorite sweater. Book that weekend getaway. Call that old friend. This isn't about being extravagant, it's about recognizing you've already earned your joy. Waiting risks, turning possibilities into regrets. Look around. What's one thing you've been saving? Maybe it's a special dinner, a hobby, or a trip you've dreamed of. Make today the day you stop waiting. Try this. This week, do one thing that brings you joy, no excuses needed. Maybe it's using the good dishes, treating yourself to a favorite dessert, or taking a scenic drive. Ruth's plates became a daily reminder to live fully. What's one pleasure you'll embrace right now? You've waited long enough, and you deserve to feel that spark. If this one's hitting home, drop point 5 in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. 6. Closing yourself off. It's so easy to slip into solitude after 70. Friends move away, some pass on, and family gets caught up in their own lives. Before you know it, you're spending more time alone than you meant to. For 75-year-old Arthur, a retired teacher from Boston, it started when his hip replacement kept him from his weekly book club. He told himself he'd reconnect later. But months turned into a year of solitary evenings watching TV. Then a neighbor invited him to a community barbecue. Arthur almost said no, his instinct was to stay home, but something nudged him to go. That night he laughed, shared stories, and felt alive again, like he'd woken up from a long, lonely nap. Loneliness isn't just emotional, it's a health risk. Research from the American Psychological Association links social isolation to higher rates of depression, cognitive decline, and even heart disease. We're wired for connection, even if you cherish your alone time. You don't need a packed social life, just one meaningful moment can shift everything. Arthur started hosting a monthly book discussion, and his energy and mood soared. Reaching out doesn't mean you're needy, it means you're human. It's about opening your heart to being seen, valued, and heard. The fear of being a burden or bothering others can keep us isolated. But think about it. When someone reaches out to you, doesn't it feel good? It's the same for them. Say yes to that coffee date. Chat longer at the grocery store. Call that old friend. One small step can lead to something beautiful. Try this. This week, take one action to reconnect, maybe a call, a visit, or joining a local group. Arthur's book discussions reminded him he was still part of a community, and his world grew brighter. What's one way you can reach out? Take it, and see where it leads. Your stories, your laughter, your presence, they're gifts the world still needs. If this resonated, leave point 6 in the comments. And if you're not subscribed, hit that button and ring the bell to stay connected. By 70, life has taught you resilience, love, and the courage to keep going. But the greatest lesson might be the art of letting go. These 6 habits being everyone's anchor: ignoring your body, holding past hurts, thinking you're done learning, saving joy, and closing yourself a fair weights you don't need to carry anymore. Letting them go isn't quitting. It's choosing a life that's lighter, truer, and fully yours. Take a quiet moment. Which of these struck a chord? Maybe it's a boundary you're ready to set, or a joy you've been postponing. That tug in your heart is your wisdom whispering, it's time. You're not here to just get by. You're here to thrive, to shine, to live with purpose. So, what's one thing you'll let go of today? Drop it in the comments below, and let's inspire each other. If this video moved you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support keeps us creating content like this. Thanks for being here. Let's live lighter together. See you in the next one.